Hey, what's up? Welcome to this new video. This one is paper 1-1 of May-June 2011. Obviously, this one is paper 1 of A-level math. With that being said, let's move on to question number 1. Now, for this question, we have to find the coefficient of x in this expansion. So, pretty easy. There's two ways of doing this question. The first one, you can expand everything and choose the one where we have x, the term in x. Or the second method is we can choose the term by trial that has the term in x. For example, if you were to expand this, you will take 7 first because of the power is 7. Combination, something we don't know. Here we have x, and here we have 2 over x squared. Right. Now, I have 7 here, so the value of, so for example, I can choose between the value of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. For the power here, I can choose any of those values. Now we have to make a choice such that if you were to expand everything, you will have the term in x. Again, this is done by trial and error. So again, from experience, from practice, you can kind of realize which one you will choose. So for example here, let's say if I choose 2 here, right? If I choose 2 here, this will be 2 here, right? 7 minus 2 is 5, so 5 will be here. Now let's expand and see what happened. 7 combination 2, that should be 21. That should be x power 5 over 4x power 4. Okay, so as you can see, we can simplify and it will give you something in terms of x. 4 here, that will be 1 remaining. So 21 times 4 should be 84x. But the answer should be just the coefficient of x, which is 84 as your answer. So let's move on to the next question. The volume of a spherical balloon is increasing at the rate of this. So the volume is increasing at the rate, so the volume is v, so dv by dt is increasing at the rate of 50 centimeters cubed per second. This is the given value for the rate of increase of the volume. Now, we have to find the rate of increase of the radius. So we have to find dt, so dr, the radius is r, dr by dt, when the value of r is equal to 10. Okay. Now it is given to you, the volume of a sphere is given to you by this. Great. So v, volume, is 4 over 3 pi r cubed. Now, we can see that, what can we see? We want to find dr by dt. So let's form an equation. Here we have dr by dt is equal to what? So here we have dr on top, we write dr on top. Here we have dt at the bottom, we write dt at the bottom. So we have to kind of form an equation. Now, by what they are related? Obviously, the only other option is we have v, so we have to write dv here and dv here. So this is given to you as 50, right? So we have to find this one. So we have to find dr by dv at the value of r equal to 10. Okay? But since here we have v already, we can find what? We can find dv by dr. That will give you 4 pi r squared. Right. Now at the value of 10, which is r, right here, that will be what? 400 pi for the value of dv by dr. Because here we have v, so dv by dr. So when 10 is r squared will be 100 times 4 is 400 pi. Right. That will be the value of dv by dr. However, here we are trying to find dr by dv. We just have to invert this. That should be 1 over 400 pi. Now we just have to replace back in the main equation over here. You will have what? 1 over 400 pi times 50. So simplify. 500, so 50, sorry, divided by 400 should be 0.125 divided by pi. So let's see what do we get. So 50 divided by 400 pi, that should be 0.03978. So let's move on to the next question. So here we have to sketch the curve y equal to x minus 2 square. Now there's a few ways you can do this. Obviously we can realize something here. X minus 2 square is also x minus 2 square plus 0, right? As we have seen many times before, when you have an equation as complete square, which is a plus x plus b square plus c, right? This is x here. For example, this is the complete square form, right? So now we can derive the minimum point, right? The value at the end will be the y value, and because the coefficient of x is positive, there will be a minimum point at the value when this is equal to 0. So the minimum point will be 2, 0. Okay, but now again, if you guys don't know how to kind of read this, you can always do this. You can expand this first. That will be y is equal to x squared minus 2 times x times, so here we have plus first and then times minus 2 and plus 4. That will give you x squared minus 4x plus 4. That is also y. Now obviously we can see this is a quadratic equation. It will have a shape like this, right? Because it is a minimum curve. Now to find the stationary point, we know that it will be at dy by dx is equal to 0. So we can find dy by dx. That will be 2x minus 4 has to be 0. So x will be the value of 2. Now replace this back in your main equation here. So 2 times 2 is 4 minus 4 times 2 plus 4. That will be 0. So the minimum point, again, we have confirmed it is 2, 0. Now let's see if it cuts our axis. At the y-axis, what do we know? The value of x is 0. So replace, you will have y is equal to 0 minus 2 square. That should be 4. So okay, so that will be the value on the y-axis. That will be 0, 4. Now on the x-axis, what do we know? The value of y needs to be 0. So again, this is same thing right here. So let's solve. Let's sketch the graph. So we have the y-axis. This is the x-axis. That will be x and y. Now let's say we have 2, 0 over here, somewhere over here, and then we have the point 0, 4, let's say somewhere over here, right? So let's try our best. We know this should be the minimum point. So we have to try to make it somewhat symmetric, if you can. Alright. Okay, so that will be somewhat the shape of your curve. That will be y equal to x minus 2 square. That will be part 1 of your question. Now for part 2, the region enclosed by the curve, the x-axis and the y-axis. So this is the region enclosed by the curve, the x and the y, which is this one. It is between 0 and 2, right? It is rotated through 360 about the x-axis. So pretty easy. We have to find the volume. So volume about the x-axis, as we have seen before, will be integration limits of 2, 0 should be pi y square by dx. Now we know already y square is what? Y is this. Y square will be pretty simple. We just have to square this value, will be x minus 2 power 4. Now we can just replace and solve step by step. That should be integration of 2, 0 pi times x minus 2 power 4 dx. Take out the value of pi, should be here. Integration of 2, 0, that should be x minus 2 power 4 dx. Solve. Pi is pi. Here you will have x minus 2 increase power by 1 divided by power, and then here we have 2, 0. That should be pi outside. Take this out as well. And then first we have 2. So 2 minus 2 is 0. that should be 0 minus, and 0 minus 2 is minus 2 power 5. That should be 32. That should be 32 pi over 5 units cube for the volume of this shape when it is rotated about the x-axis 360 degrees. And that will be your question, part 3. Let's move on to the next question. The diagram shows a prism A, B, C, D, P, Q, R, S. So A, B, C, D, P, Q, R, S. Okay, great. Now the base is a square, 6, 6, 6, 6, okay, with sides of length 6. The cross section ABCD is a trapezium, so trapezium ABCD, and is such that the vertical edges AB and DC are of length 5 and 2. 5 and 2. Okay, great to know. Now, unit vectors I, J, and K are in the same direction of AD, AP, and AB, respectively. Okay, great. Now, part 1. Express each of the vectors CP, CQ in terms of I, J, and K. So let's first find that. So how would you find CP? From C, let's go to P. How would you do that? So let's see step by step. From C, I can first go to D, right? From D, I can go to S, and from S, I can go to P. Makes sense? So C, go to D, D, go to S, S, go to P. So C, go to D, we have to go down by 2. That will be minus 2K. D going to S, that should be plus 6J, right, in this direction. S going to P should be minus 6I. That should be, CP will be minus 6I plus 6J minus 2K. Okay, so now let's move on. We have to find CQ. C going to Q over here. So again, pretty easy. C going to Q is what? It is CP plus PQ. CP is this plus PQ. PQ is this one. That should be 5. Okay. That will give you minus 6I plus 6J plus, that should be plus 3K. Okay. That will be part 1 of the question. Now for part 2, we have to find the angle PCQ. So from C, we have this, we have this. So we have this 2 vectors already, which is CP and CQ. So pretty easy. We have to use scalar product. That will be CP dot CQ equal to the magnitude of CP times magnitude of CQ. And then we have cos of the angle C. So this will be CP is found to be minus 6, 6, minus 2. CQ was found to be minus 6, 6, and 3. And the magnitude is pretty easy as well. We just have to square the values. That will be 36 plus 36 plus 4. That will be root of 76. This one will be 36 plus 36 plus 9. Should be root of 81. Cos of angle C. Here we just have to perform dot product. Minus 6 times minus 6 plus 6 times 6 plus minus 2 times 2. That should be 66. Here you have 66 divided by root of 76 times 9. So angle C will be what? Let's find out. 66 divided by 9 root of 76. That will be 0.84119. So cos inverse of that will be 32.7. So this is obviously cos of this, so C will be 32.7 degrees correct to 1 decimal place. Now let's move on to the next question. So we have to show that the equation 2 tan square theta, sine square theta is 1, can be written in this form. So we have to simplify this. Now we realize that in this equation we don't have any tan, so we have to kind of remove this one. So we have 2. What is this? Tan, this is what? Let's think. We know that, for example, we know simply tan square theta can be what? Sine square theta divided by cos square theta. Right, so let's do that. 2 times this over this is equal to 1. Now we can cross multiply. This will go here, right? So you will have 2 sine power 4 theta is equal to cos square theta. Now we can send this over here. You will have 2, that will be minus this is equal to 0. Now simplify. 1 minus this and 2, that should be exactly shown as required. That is part 1 of your question. So now part 2, hence we have to use that solving this equation. So pretty easy. Since as you can see, this one is a quadratic equation. For example, I can say let u equal to sine square theta. You will have 2 u square plus u minus 1 is 0. So factorize 2u times u, 1 is 1 times 1. To get plus 1, we have to have plus 2 minus 1. U will be half and u will be minus 1. Now simplify. We know u is sine square theta is half, or sine square theta is minus 1, which is not possible. So it is not, it is invalid, not possible, right? So square of something will be positive, if that makes sense. Now here we have sine theta will be plus minus root of 1 over 2. So we have to look at the values one by one, right? So for the first value, we have sine of theta is 1 over root 2, or we have sine of theta is minus 1 over root 2. Now for this one, if sine is positive, it will be in the first quadrant and in the second quadrant. That will be the angle directly. That will be sine inverse of 1 divided by root 2. That will be 45 degrees. Or it could be 360 minus angle, that should be, 180 minus 45 should be 135. It could be, this one is 45 and this one will be 135, because sine is positive. Now when sine is negative, it will be in the third quadrant and this one. Now it is negative, we have to first use the other angle. Let's call this one x. That will be 180 plus x. That will be 360 minus x. Now what is x? X is simply sine inverse of the positive value of this one. That will be 45 degrees. Now to find the value of theta, which we want to find, we have to look back at the quadrant. That will be 180 plus 45. That will be 225. And 360 minus 45 should be 350. Okay, so simplify. Finally, we have theta will be 45, 135, 225, and then 350. So these are the 4 values of theta. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. The variables x and y and z can only take positive values. Okay, and it's such that we have these 2 equations right here. Now part 1, we have to try to express z in terms of x. Of course, so just replace here y. So y is equal to 600 divided by x. So from here, that will be z will be 3x plus 2 times y will be 1200 over x. This is shown as required. Now I do realize that I can rewrite this as 3x plus 1200 x power minus 1. Right? Now part 2, we have to find the stationary value of z and find its nature. So pretty easy. At stationary value, what do we know? dz by dx have to be 0. So let's perform this operation. That will be 3 and then minus 12. That should be x. This should be 0. Then we can send this over here. You will have 1200 over x squared should be 3. Cross multiply, you will have 3x squared is 1200 So x squared will be 1200 divided by 3 should be 400. So finally x will be root of 400, that should be 20. Because x can only take positive value, we'll take x to be positive 20. Now, I do realize that this is the value of x. We place back in z to find the stationary value of z. That should be 3 times 20 plus 1200 divided by 20. 3 times 20 plus 1200 divided by 20. That should be 120. And z will be 120 for the stationary value. Again, we have to find the nature. Now, whenever we have to find the nature, we have to look at what? To find the nature, we have to look at the second derivative, which is d2z by dx2. That will be, from here, that 3 will become 0. Then we have plus 2400 over x power 3. Now, when x was 20, this will be what? 2400 divided by 20 power 3. That should be 0.3. Sorry, 20 power 3 is this much. So 2400 divided by answer. Yep, exactly. So since it is a positive value, you can write since d2z by dx2 is more than 0, we can confirm the stationary value of z is a minimum value. That will be the nature for part 2 of your question. Now let's move on to the next question. A curve is such that dy by dx is equal to this. Okay, at the point, and the point lies on the curve. So we have a passing point on the curve. Part 1, we have to find the equation of the curve, which is we have to find y. Pretty easy. Y will be integration of dy by dx. So let's find this. Y will be integration of dy by dx will be 3. We can send this up, that should be 2x power minus 2 by dx. Now this will give you what? 3 can remain outside. Now we can increase the power by 1, that should be minus 1, divide by the power, then divide by d by dx of the value inside, that should be 2. And then plus c obviously. So y will be minus 3 over 2. We can bring this down, that should be 1 plus 2x plus c. Now we have to find the value of c. Now we have the passing point of 1 and 0.5. That is x and y. That should be 0.5, y will be minus 3. That should be 2, and then we have 1 plus 2. Let's see what do we get. Plus c, obviously here. Now this is 3. Here we have 3, that should be minus 1. Right? You will get 0.5 is equal to minus 0.5 plus c. So c will be just 1. So finally, y, which is the equation of the curve, should be minus 3 over 2, 1 plus 2x plus 1. That will be your equation of your curve. Now for part 2, we have to find the set of values of x for which the gradient, which is dy by dx, is less than this. So for which dy by dx is less than 1 over 3. So what is dy by dx? It is 3 over 1 plus 2x square less than 1 over 3. So first thing first, we can just cross multiply. You will have 3 square and 1 plus 2x square. Now we can rewrite this as what? If this is less than this, we can rewrite as 1 plus 2x is more than this. Now we can find the critical values first, right? You will have 1 plus 2x is equal to plus minus 3. So you will have first value should be 3. 2x will be 2x will be 1. Or you can have 1 plus 2x should be minus 3. So 2x should be minus 4. X will be minus 2. Will be in this shape here. Minus 2, 1, obviously. And it will be the shape of this. This will be your line, 3 over here. As you can see, we need to be more, should be on this side and on this side. So x needs to be less than minus 2, x to be more than 1. Here will be the set of values of x for which the gradient is less than 1/3. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. A television quiz show takes place every day. On day 1, the prize money was $1,000. Okay, if this is not 1, the prize money is increased for day 2. Fair enough. The prize money is increased in a similar way every day until it is 1. Okay. Now the company considered the following 2 models for increasing the prize money. Model number 1, increase the prize money by 1,000 each day. As you can see, every day you're increasing by the same amount, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. And obviously this will be an AP, right? It is an AP progression. Now for this one, increase the prize money by 10% each day. So again, increase by 10%, 10%, and 10%. This will be a GP. So model 1 is AP, model 2 is GP. Okay, now, each day the prize money is not won by the company, makes a donation to charity. So every day, if the money is not won, they will make a donation. Okay, good. Now, the amount donated is 5% of the value of the prize on that day, okay? Now, after 40 days, we know the prize money has still not been won. So, the money went on for 40 days. So, no one won the prize for 40 days. So, we know the number of terms in those 2 progressions will be 40 because the money has not been won for 40 days. Now, moving on. Here, the main goal is to calculate the amount donated to charity. So this is what we care about, the amount donated to charity. Part 1, if model 1 is used. So let's have a look. So we know model 1 is what? It is an AP. Okay. Now first thing, as I always advise, is to first write down all the formulas you know for the progression. So we know that the n term is A plus n minus d times d, and the sum of the first n terms will be half times n 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Again, this is given to you. However, I prefer if you guys could memorize them, but anyways, no big deal. Now let's move on. So here we have day 1. Day 1, the price was 1,000. Day 2, the price will be increased by 1,000 if it is not 1. That should be 2,000. Again, same logic. Day 3 should be 3,000. It goes on until day 40. 40 will be 3,000. 40 will be 40,000. Okay, so as you can see, this will be the progression we have for the price on each day. Now, we don't care about the price here. We care about the amount donated. Now you can see the amount donated is 5% of the value. So let's see. The amount donated. 5% of this is how much? So that will be 5% is 5 over 100 times 1,000. That should be 50. Now what is 5% of this? That should be 5% times 2,000. That should be 100. So, and what is 5% of this? That should be 150. And keep going on until this one. But here you can see clearly that what's happening. The amount of donation every time is increasing by a constant amount of 50. So we can conclude that for model number 1, the amount donated also follows a AP progression, right? Because we have a first term, it is increased by the same amount every time. So pretty easy, we know that. From this, the first term is 50 and the common difference is 50. So we have to find the sum of the first 40 terms because we know there's 40 days for 40 terms. So let's find that. That'll be half times n is 40, 2a, that will be 100, plus n minus 1 will be 39 times 50. Let's see how much we get. So here we have 100 plus 39 times 50. So this will be 2050 times 40 divided by 2. That should be 41,000. Okay, so this will be your answer for part 1 of the question. If model 1 is used, the amount donated will be 41,000. So I hope that makes sense. First we can see this, then we have this, and then we derive this. Now for part 2, here we have if model 2 is used. Now as we can see here, model 2 is a GP. The amount increases 10% every day. So let me write this down. I have 1, it is 1,000. 2 will be what? Increase by 10%. So we will say 10% times 1,000 increase by 100, so the amount will be this much, right? Now term number 3, increase by 10%, so 1,100 increase by 10% plus the initial amount, so the new price on day 3 will be this, right? So every time we are increasing by 10%. 10% is 10 over 100, which is 0.1. 0.1. So, sorry, increase by this much. So I guess this is a confusion that we can make here. Let's not write this. So let me explain what I'm trying to get to. So now, we know the price is this on day 1, the price is this on day 2, the price is this on day 3. So how do we find this amount? So we understand the first term is 1,000 here, right? And the second term, which is AR, is this much. So we have to find the value of R, the common ratio. How would you find that? R will be this divided by A, that will be 1.1. So here you go. The common ratio here is times 1.1 times 1.1. Okay, great. So now if you were to write this down correctly, I mean in a different way, we can call this, the first term is 1,000, second term is 1.1 times 1,000, third term is 1.1 square times 1,000. If that makes sense, every time we are increasing by 1.1. And then the fourth term should be 1.1 cube times 1,000, until the 40th term should be 1.139 times 1,000. Anyways, this is the price amount on each day, but we don't really care about this. We care about the amount donated, right? So the amount donated will be 5% of this, so 5% will be, so what is 5%? 5% is 5 divided by 100. That will be what? That should be 0.05. So to find the amount donated, we have to take 5% of this, so that will be 0.05 times 1,000. That's the first term. And again, the amount for this one will be 0.05 times 1.1 times 1,000. This one, 0.05 times 1.1 square times 1,000. So as we can see, even for this progression here, this sequence, the only thing really changing is the 1.1. So let me rewrite this down. I can bring this in. That will be what? 0.05 times 1,000. So let me just leave it like that because I don't want to confuse you guys. Let me leave it just like that. This is my first term. To get my second term, I have to multiply by 1.1. To get my this, multiply by 1.1. So you can see here, the common ratio is just 1.1, right? And the first term here is what? It is this one. 0.05 times 1,000, that is 50. So we want to find the sum of the first, so here we have 40 terms in total, so 1, 2, 3 until 40 in total, sum of the first 40 terms, because we want to find the total amount donated to this charity. That will be what? Pretty easy. We have to use the formula we know for GP. That will be A is 50, R power n, so 1.1 power n should be 40, minus the value of, so here we have 1 actually, and then 1.1 minus 1. Again, this formula is given to you. You don't need to memorize this, it is given to you. So 1.1 power 40 minus 1 divided by 0.1 times 50. It will be 22129.627. So correct to 3SF, the amount should be 22100. This will be the amount donated for this charity. So I think the main thing we have to understand here is we only care about the amount donated. So at first we begin with the model. This is the first term, second term, third term for the prize money. Then we understand that every time we're increasing by a common ratio, as you can see here, common ratio, common ratio, common ratio. That's why I say GP. Now after this, we have to find the amount donated. So if it is 5% of that, so we can write this times this, this times this, this times this. Now for this sequence of amount donated, again we can see it is also a GP, increasing by the same amount every time. Now because of that, we can form our sequence of GP and then use the formulas that we know to find the sum of the first 40 terms. Okay, so that will be your question in regards to series. Let's move on to the next question. In the diagram, we have OAB is an isosceles triangle. So OAB right here. Now with OA equal to B, OA equal to B, so these two are the same. And then the angle OAB is 2 theta right here. Now, arc PST has center O and radius R. Okay. Now what else? The line ASB is a tangent to the arc. Okay, so as you can see, this line is a tangent, and because S joins with the center O, here it is 90. Okay. Now moving on. Part 1. We have to find the total area of the shaded region in terms of R and theta. So let's see how can we find this. So how would you find the area of the region? So honestly, as we have seen this kind of question many times before, I will break this down into two pieces, because I do understand that this side and this side, they are the same. I can just first find this area, then multiply by 2 to get both, right? So let me look at one side only. So to find this area, I can first find the whole area. Now what is the whole area? It is area of a triangle, right? So let me draw this. I have this over here, this, and this. This is R, this is theta, because this whole thing is 2 theta, this is theta. This is 90 over here. And what else do we know? That's all we know. Now, how can we find this? We can find this by using SOHCAHTOA. Right, so this is my A side, and this is my O side. So I can use tan of theta is equal to the O side that we don't know, which is AS, over R. So from here, AS will be R tan theta. So this side here is R tan theta. Okay. Now how do you find the area of the triangle? Pretty easy. Area of triangle, as we have seen many times before, it is half times base and times the perpendicular height, which is just R. That will be half R squared tan theta. Okay, that will be the area of the triangle. Now, we also want to remove the area of sector, so we only have this one remaining. So how do you find area of sector? Area of sector is half R squared theta. R squared is R squared, the radius. Theta is just the angle here. It is theta itself already. So let's write this down. So finally, the area here that we want, it is the big area minus the small area. But this is only for the one side, but we want this side as well. So we understand this and this are the same, so we can just multiply by 2 to get both, right? So simplify, this will cancel out. You will have R squared tan theta minus R squared theta. Okay, so that will be the area of the regions in terms of R and theta. Okay, We're good. Now question part 2. In the case where theta is 1/3 pi, now what is 1/3 pi? 1/3 times 180, that should be 60 degrees in terms of degrees. Now, radius is 6. We have to find the total perimeter of the shaded regions, leaving your answer in terms of √3 and pi. So find the exact values of the perimeter. Again, we understand that this perimeter is the same as this, so we can just find this one, then multiply by 2. Right. So again, let's break this down. Here we have R, which means this is also R, right? This is OP is also the radius. Good. Now first, we understand the perimeter is what? Distance around the object. It will be PS plus AS and plus AP. So we have to find all these sides to find the perimeter of this shape over here. So how would you find the length of PS? PS is the length of arc, and as we can see, it is r theta. R is the radius, is 6. Theta is 1/3 pi. Given to you right here. Again, to use this formula, we have to use the angle in radians. That will be 2 pi. So this side is 2 pi. Now AS is this one. AS will be R is 6 tan theta. Theta is 1/3 pi. Now, we have to know the exact values of those angles. For example, of 30, 60, and 45. Again, you will learn those through practice. No big deal. So tan of 60, because we know this is 60 degrees, that should be this value. So for me, I do know from practice, I know this is equal to √3. That should be 6 √3. So AS is 6 √3 plus AP. So how would you find the length of AP? So pretty easy. We use logic. We can first find the length of AO and then find the length of AP, right? So let's first find AO. So AO, we can use the triangle here to find AO. So this is my A side, this is my H side, so we can use cos. Cos of the angle, which is 1/3, is A side, which is radius, over the value of AO. Right. Now we can solve for AO. AO will be radius is 6 divided by cos of 1/3 pi. Okay? 6 divided by cos of 1/3 pi is 60. That should be 12. So as we can see, the whole thing here is 12. The radius is 6, so this will be remaining. 12 minus 6 will be 6. From here we realize that AP will be 6. So let me write this down here. The perimeter now is found to be 2 pi plus 6 √3 and plus 6. Now again, this is only for one side of the object, so we have to multiply by 2 to get this side as well. So everything multiply by 2 to get your answer. That should be 4 pi plus 12 √3 and plus 12. That is the exact value in terms of this and this for the perimeter of the region. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Express this in the form of this. So we have to complete the squares. So let's do this. Pretty easy. Because at first we have 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. Because we have 2 here, we have to make this become 1. How? By factorization. You will have x squared minus 2x. For this one, we can just leave this outside. Okay? Now here we have 1. We can proceed to the next step. That will be x squared minus 2x. Here we have to add something. Add the value here is 2. Divide by 2 square. And then here we have plus 1. Obviously, when you add something, you also have to minus the same value, so you don't want to change the equation. Because it was inside the bracket, we also give this the value of 2. Now you have 2 here. Here we have x. Because this whole thing here have to become something of a complete square, right? That will be x here. Here we have minus. Here we have 1. And here we have square. Plus 1 minus 2 times 1. 2. X minus 1 square. 1 minus 2 is minus 1. So here you go. That is part 1. Express this in terms of this will be this. Hence, hence means using that, state the coordinates of the minimum point. So pretty easy. The minimum point will be what? We take the value inside, x plus b, equate to 0 to find the x value. So here you can see x minus 1 equate to 0, x will be 1. And what is the y value? Will be the value at the end, c, plus c will be this one, so minus 1. So this will be the minimum point of the curve. Let's move on. The line x minus y plus 4 is equal to 0 intersects the curve at the point P and Q. It is given that the coordinates of P is this. So we have to find y. Okay, so we have to find the points of intersection. So at first we have, this is my equation number 1, my equation number 2. Okay, so here we have y as subject already. Just replace in this one. You will have x minus y is also, this is the equation of the curve, plus 4 is 0. Simplify. X minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 1 plus 4 has to be 0. That will be minus 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 is 0. Rearrange, you will have 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 is 0. Now we can simply factorize. That will be 2x times x. Here we have 3 times 1. To get minus 5, we have to have minus 6 plus 1. So 2x plus 1 is 0. X will be minus half. X minus 3 is 0. X will be 3. Now this one we know already, given to you by the point P, 3, 7. We just need this one. When x is minus half, y is what? Replace back in your equation. You can replace here if you want to. So 2 minus 0.5 minus 1 square minus 1. So minus 0.5, so it is minus 1.5 square times 2 minus 1. To be minus 5.5. Okay, so that will be your other point, which is point Q, will be minus 0.5 and then minus 5.5. The point P is given to you by 3, 7 already. Now for point 3 of the question, we have to find the equation of the line joining Q to the midpoint of AP. So pretty easy. The point Q is given to you. Let's find the midpoint of AP. The point A is what? Is 1 minus 1. So what is the midpoint? We use our formula to find the midpoint, which is x1 plus x2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. y1 plus y2 is 6, divided by 2, that'll be 3. So here the midpoint, and we have the point Q. We have to find the equation joining those 2 points. So how do you find the equation of a straight line? You have to find the gradient. So gradient, pretty easy. That is y2 minus y1, so minus 5.5 minus 3, over x2, 0.5 minus this. That will be 3.4. This is the gradient of the line. Now, to find the equation of a line, we have to use a passing point and the gradient. So we have the passing point 2, 3. That will be xy. So y minus its corresponding value over x minus its corresponding value should be the value of the gradient. We can just cross multiply. You will have y minus 3 is 3.4x minus 6.80. So simplify, y will be 3.40x minus 3.80. Okay, so that will be my equation of the straight line joining the point Q and the midpoint of AP. Again, this is my method that I use to find the equation of a straight line. So if you guys have other methods, you can use your own methods as well. But the main point is that to find the equation of a straight line, you have to have a passing point and the gradient of the line. Okay, and that will be the question number 10. Now let's move on to the next question. Functions f and g are defined for the following by the following function. We have f of x is 2x plus 1. We can see this is a straight line. And g of x is x squared minus 2. We can see is a minimum curve because we have x squared, it is positive coefficient. The shape will be something like this. Anyways, now part 1. We have to find and simplify the expressions of this and this. So one by one. First we have to find f g of x. So replace g of x in x. You will have 2 times g of x will be plus 1. That should be 2x squared minus 4 plus 1 should be minus 3. That should be f g of x. Now for this one, g of f of x. Replace f of x in x here. You will have, that will be x squared will be this minus 2. That should be 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 minus 2. That should be 4x squared plus 4x minus 1. That will be this one. Okay, that will be part 1 of your question. Now part 2, hence means using that value, find the value of a for which this is equal to this. So let's see, let's solve. The left hand side will be this one, 2a squared minus 3 is equal to 4a squared plus 4a minus 1. Send everything to one side, you will have 2a squared plus 4a plus 2 have to be 0. That will be a squared plus 1. Factorize. That will be a times a. 1 is 1 times 1. To get plus 2, we have to have plus 1 plus 1. A will be minus 1. A will be minus 1. So basically, a is minus 1, the value of a. Now for part 3, find the value of b for which b is not equal to a. B is not equal to minus 1, for which this is this. So let's find out. G of b is what? Replace here. You will have b squared minus 2 is equal to b. Send this over here. You will have b squared minus b minus 2 is 0. Factorize. B times b. 2 is 2 times 1. We need minus 1. Now minus 2 plus 1. So b will be the value of 2. Because here we have minus 1 again. It cannot be minus 1. So we can only take this one. Okay. Now what else? We need to find and simplify an expression for f inverse of g of x. Now I guess the logic way, I mean the simplest way, not simplest way, but the way that we may be used to, let's first find f inverse. So you would say f inverse is what? Let y is equal to f of x, which is 2x plus 1. Now 2x is equal to y minus 1. X will be y minus 1 divided by 2. So hence, f inverse, it is in terms of x. That should be x minus 1 over 2. So finally, here we have to find f inverse of g of x. So replace, that will be g of x here. You will have x squared minus 2 minus 1 over 2. That should be x squared minus 3 over 3 over 2. That should be this one. Now done. This is the expression that we need for part 4. Now last one. The function h is defined by this. Okay. Now we have to find, for x is less than 0. Good. Now we have to find an expression for this one. So let's do this one by one. H of x is given to you by x squared minus 2. So let y equal to this. So we know x squared will be y plus 2. So x will be plus minus root of y plus 2. However, here we understand that x is defined for the negative region. X is less than 0, so that's why we take minus. So finally, g inverse of x should be minus root of x plus 2. And that will be your question number 5 for functions.